Call of Duty has been all over the place in terms of setting, time periods. Now, most COD maps tend to be pretty grounded in their game's version of a reality. Some, they've gone to crazy new locations, and they've given us some pretty awesome things to look at while we're running around shooting each other. What is up, everybody? Chaos here. Today, we have a fun one. We're going to look at the coolest maps in COD history, regardless of whether or not they were actually good, regardless whether or not they were actually fun to play, although most of them were. So you let me know. These are the ones that the developer, they pushed the envelope. They went out into fantasy land. So drop a like, and let's kick things off with Skyjack from Black Ops 3. And this is one of the most tame ones, so trust me, this list is going to get pretty crazy. Now, Hijack was one of the most beloved maps from Black Ops 2. It seems like an obvious choice for a remake in the sequel. The original was set on a big yacht in the middle of the ocean, but Treyarch decided to make things a little more next-gen with the remake. Hijacked became Skyjacked, and instead of a yacht, you are now fighting on a giant cruise ship flying over a city. Now, there was a couple of adjustments made for the sake of the advanced movement in Black Ops 3, such as a few wall running spots, but for the most part, the original map was kept intact, and this quickly became one of the most popular DLC maps in that game. Walking around Skyjacked is breathtaking, and I'm still pretty amazed they got this map up and running as smoothly as they did on the older generation consoles. This was a really cool map. Before we move on, guys, if you're into G Fuel, which I know a lot of you are, and you're into collecting, maybe plushies, check out Crandrew. He is the one and only G Fuel official plushie at this time. Very limited. You guys can use code Chaos. Link is at the top of the description. Get your 20% off, whatever you're getting. And he is the direct mascot of the Only Crans G Fuel flavor. I have a feeling he's not going to be around long. So go check him out and check out the new Only Crans G Fuel flavor. Once again, link is in the top description. Code Chaos. Now we move on to number 9. Magma from Black Ops 2. Speaking of Treyarch maps, this has to be one of the most underappreciated in my opinion. Now, granted, Black Ops 2 was loaded with amazing maps, both launch and DLC, so it's easy for something like this to fall through the cracks, but the visual design of Magma, it was pretty insane for 2013 when it came out. Released as part of the Uprising DLC pack, it was set in a Japanese city. It was being swallowed up by a volcanic eruption. Now, certain spots of the map, they'll burn you to death instantly if you step on them, and the architecture, it was pretty cool. You could really see how this once thriving city was completely destroyed by the volcano, and running around the remnants of it was actually kind of eerie at times. The map itself isn't amazing, and it's probably one of the lower tier maps in Black Ops 2 from a playable standpoint, but the fun factor and the visual awesomeness of it, I thought it deserved to be on this list. This is where Treyarch really started to go nuts with their map themes. At number 8, Atlas Superstore from Modern Warfare 2019. Do you guys remember going to Walmart or going to Costco when you were a kid and imagining how awesome it would be to hold a giant Nerf gun war with all your friends there? Well, Atlas Superstore is basically that idea coming to life in a Call of Duty game. The fighting takes place in and around a giant grocery store. There's a lot of little details that Infinity Ward threw in for the sake of world building. Now, I know a lot of people actually hated playing on this map, and that's okay. But if you just walk around and look at Atlas Superstore, it's hard not to appreciate how awesome of a concept it was. I love seeing stuff like this brought to life in Call of Duty. Everyone has fantasized at least one time about renting out a Costco and holding a giant Nerf war. I would assume everybody is like me and has fantasized about that. At number 7, Hazard, Black Ops 1. This may sound like a random pick to some of you, but I always loved this map, and I still think it's awesome, and I think it was amazing looking. It was a DLC map from the original Black Ops, had a Cliffside vibe. It was actually a remake of Cliffside from World at War, but rethemed as a colorful and vibrant golf course. In fact, according to the game files, it was originally just going to be called Golf Course, but I guess Treyarch realized that didn't sound cool enough next to all the other map names, so they made it Hazard. It's not only a fantastic map, but it aged beautifully. I'm not kidding when I say this map looks amazing, and the amount of detail was impressive. There's so many Easter eggs. If you look up the leaderboard, you'll know what I'm talking about on the course, and the bright colors make everything pop. Giant Fancy Golf Course is one of the places you would never expect a first-person shooter to be set, but I'm glad Treyarch did. It was really good. Go look in the pool. There's a surprise in the pool at the club at the top of the hill. At number 6, Carnival from Modern Warfare 2 2009. I guarantee you most of you never even played this map. This was one of the first wacky maps ever put in a COD game, but I don't actually think calling it wacky is fair. It was unconventional for a COD map setting, but it still kept that realistic, grounded tone from Modern Warfare 2, and that made it kind of creepy. Large map set in an abandoned Brazilian carnival. There was a lot of things to do and see. You could run along the roller coaster tracks, you could check out the funhouse, you could take cover behind the bumper cars. It was cool. It has the same appeal as Atlas Superstore does for me, in the sense it's one of those locations you probably dreamed about having a Nerf war in an amusement park when you were a kid, but now you actually get to do it, kind of. Regardless, Carnival was an awesome map. I would love to see this one come back. It was actually remade for COD Online, but since that game has been shut down, the community is still sitting and waiting to play it again. And like I said, most of you have never got to experience it. Hopefully, if the leaks about Modern Warfare 2's DLC come true this year, maybe we'll get this one back. At number 5, Splash from Black Ops 3. We talked about a carnival. How about a water park? Splash is one of the first DLC maps released for Black Ops 3, and I remember the community actually being pretty happy, both in terms of the theme and the gameplay. Decent-sized map set in a water park in the southeastern United States with a ton of awesome detail. The colors pop, the water looked great, tons of dynamics to the gameplay. You could run all through the water tubes, lazy rivers, anything. There was also a giant dunk tank shaped like Captain Price's head, which is, I mean, what more can we ask for? The map played well, it looked awesome, and it checked all the boxes of what you would want from a DLC map. At number 4, Sandbox from World War II. Have you ever wondered to yourself, hey self, what combat would look like from the perspective of a little green army man? Sandbox was a free DLC map added to COD World War II in the summer of 2018 that shrunk you down into the body of a little green man as you battled in a fortress made out of sand. Now, all the set pieces were made out of common playground items, plastic shovels, pails, even a magnifying glass that could set you on fire if the sunlight shined through it. Sledgehammer's map design felt a little restricted in the early days of COD World War II, but after the multiplayer overhaul, the gloves came off and they spread their wings, which led to some awesome maps like this. If you ask me, this isn't just one of the best maps in COD World War II, it's also one of the best Sledgehammer maps, period. Now we get into the top 3. Ruins from COD Ghosts. When we first saw pictures of this map, we were all basically just thinking, okay, it looks decent, but then we learned that the whole thing was one giant reference to the Predator universe, and we lost our collective minds. Ruins is set in a Mayan temple filled with Easter eggs and that now iconic field upgrade that would turn you into the Predator, complete with his visor and all his lethal weapons. Plus, the Predator would self-destruct once he was killed, just like in the movie. The map itself was pretty solid, but the attention to detail, that's what sold it. I mean, who could be upset about playing as the Predator in a Call of Duty game? Now, I'm honestly not sure why more COD maps haven't done stuff like this. COD Ghost had multiple maps doing a certain thing that would let you turn into a special character specific to the map you were playing on, and the community loved it. Why not bring it back? Seriously. And speaking of which, at number 2, Fog from COD Ghost. I've said before, this is the best Easter egg map in Call of Duty history. I may get some heat for putting it at number 2, but trust me, number 1 deserves it. But that doesn't mean Fog wasn't awesome. Released as part of the Onslaught DLC pack for COD Ghost, set in this dark, creepy campsite next to a lake in the Pacific Northwest. You walk around the map, you'll find tons of references to classic horror movies, Evil Dead, Friday the 13th, Scream, Freddy, The Ring, on and on and on. But on top of all of that, the field upgrade that turned you into Michael Myers. I mean, seriously. Himself, running around the map, chopping people up with the iconic music blaring in your head. Fog is also a really well-designed map for a game like COD Ghost. So even if you're not a horror fan, and even if you didn't get the Michael Myers upgrade, you probably had fun on this map. It's one of the most beloved Infinity War maps of all time, and it just barely missed the number 1 spot today. But I have to give it, if we're talking about coolest, special, most insane, has to be Micro from Black Ops 3. Released as part of the Salvation DLC pack, it's probably the wildest idea for a COD map I've ever seen. I mean, this was around the time that Black Ops 3 was really getting wacky and the community wasn't too happy about it somehow, but we all rallied around this map despite the fact it was crazy. The map shrinks you down to the size of a tiny little bug, and you run around a picnic table during a barbecue. You could duck behind giant hot dogs, soda cups. I mean, you could punch ants out of your way. There was also tons of little details and Easter eggs. There was custom nutrition fact labels on all the wrappers. Micro was all about just being fun, which made it awesome. It was a mid-tier map at worst, I would say. People probably would have had more fun, or probably, I don't know, maybe they would have had fun with it if it wasn't as wacky, I don't know. But it was fun. In my opinion, this is the coolest map in COD history. I don't think anybody's going to be able to convince me otherwise. And if you could ever get out of the map or go into spectator mode or theater mode, you'll find a nice little Easter egg underneath the table. There you go. Craziest, coolest, wackiest, whatever you want to call them maps in COD history. Let me know one that didn't make the list that should have, and I'll see you guys soon.